Okay. Okay. Good day, everyone. You're welcome to a special edition of uh, the London Business School put together by the Diaspora Recruitment um, Network. Sorry, I said the London Business Clinic, not the London Business School. Sorry for that. You're welcome to the London Business Clinic, where we look at solutions for enterprise, whether you're just starting a business or you're thinking of scaling up. What you do here, you upskill so that you can effectively upscale your business operations. And so I want to welcome you to today's edition of the London Business Clinic, put together by the Diaspora Recruitment Network in partnership with the Ambassador Advisory and Investment Limited here in the UK. Today we'll be sharing 5 stages of building successful and sustainable enterprise, and not just a successful enterprise, but a sustainable one. This is coming from more than 22 years experience consulting for companies both in Africa and here in the UK. I've also been part of precisely Nigeria. So you're going to be learning from my own experiences and from the journey of life. You need to understand so that you know you're listening to a qualified person that is qualified to provide this counsel. I'm a certified business strategist here in the UK. I'm a certified management consultant, CMC, and also I'm a business analyst. I'm a certified business analyst with certifications to back all these MBAs, and also at the moment getting and will be through with my doctorate very soon. So this is also 20, let's say 22, 24 years experience is coming to bear to share what I want to share with us today, both successful and failed experiences. They're all part of my source, my journey in life. Talking about self mastery, you've got to attain these 3 E's, which is exposure, education, and experience. And to the glory of God, we've gone through the process and we're still learning. We're still learning. You learn every day. So I'm going to be sharing with you what I've learned in the last 24 years, and I've gained some self mastery as a certified entrepreneurship specialist. So I'm certified as an entrepreneurship specialist. Very few people are certified to both as a social entrepreneur and a classic entrepreneur. Thank God for all the opportunities given us to acquire some of these certifications over time. We sometimes years back we never thought we're going to be interested in doing what we're doing today, but God's plan is God's plan. You end up and you can run from God, but you cannot run. You always end up in God if there's God's seed in you. I'm just sounding a bit spiritual today because we're all spiritual entity and that lives in a body and we have a mind. And so my I'm not ashamed to tell people that my um I'm driven by biblical values and principles, even though I'm uh, a certified management consultant that use business principles to drive initiatives. One of the things you're going to be learning today is a product from a framework I have developed with a team in the past called the Triple D Data Driven Decision Making Framework that enables entrepreneurs, professionals to design and deploy enterprise. You've got to realize that we're living in a completely different age and time. The business ecosystem, the global business ecosystem, there's a whole lot of evolution in the last 10 years, and it's moving. The rate of speed is so fast that you've got to catch up. So you've got to understand that the triple D will help you build successful enterprise. So we call it the triple D framework, which is data design decision making framework that enables you to build both a successful and a sustainable enterprise. So when we talk about the 5S framework, is the foundation um, is a combination of the design thinking framework and the triple D, which is data driven decision making framework. You've got to you want to be effective in making decision as a business person. You've got to ensure that you understand the data driven decision making framework, which is triple D. And we also talk about design thinking and system thinking. all this have been put together to get us to this point. What the 5S is made up of: five for a business, you're having an idea, to converting your passion into um, viable business portfolio, profitable business portfolio. So converting passion to profitable business portfolio, you've got to go through this 5S. And I want to really encourage you to get your pen, get the jotter, and just make sure that you take advantage of this, the London Business Clinic, to just get free training that can help you upskill in order to upskill. So you're gonna I want to state the five first. That way, help us go through them effectively. The first is setup. You've got to go through the setup stage if you want to build a successful and sustainable enterprise. The first stage is what we call the setup stage. The second stage is what we call the start of or the startup, and that is what most people tend to learn when they go to entrepreneurship classes or attend business schools. So you talk about the start off or the startup. Then the third stage is standardization. You've got to come to a point in your business where you attain you must achieve this phase, or else you're going to be in trouble. This is the middle ground, standardization. You can look and say, okay, we can replicate this model again and again. And so that is standardization, is the middle ground. And you can't jump, you can ignore the other part, but if you do this, you're going to pay for it. Largely, you're going to pay for it. Standardization is key. Then we talk about the scale up. Scale up comes after effective standardization, where the process is already standardized. You have your standard operating procedures in place, and then you can scale up based on that. Even if a CEO is retired, even if the owner of the enterprise retires, because the company have attained standardization, a new CEO can come in, or a new operative chief operative officer, new financial chief financial officer can come in and just run with the manual. So is that you can now begin to talk about scale up. Once the business models and scale up comes in, that it is after scale up we talk about spread out, where it's about expansion. I have a classic experience with scale up without going through the process. I remember a few years ago, back in Africa, in Nigeria precisely, we started a venture and it was really awesome. And in less than 2 months, in 2 months into the business, we had a lot of resources coming in, a lot of clientele coming in, and we just felt it is time to just spread out. We just opened. We started in the city of Abuja, and before you know it, we were in 6 other states. We just spread out without going through the process of standardization, the middle ground, and we paid for it. We paid highly for it, and so I'm talking to you from experience and also from theories and proven theories and that. So when we talk about self mastery in this case, we're talking about experience, exposure, and education. These are the three things that we are deploying to get this project, to get you to know this 5S is the outcome of self mastery, entrepreneurship self mastery, through experience, exposure, and education. And I want you to also go through this. I also want you to know that we're also putting together, and like we've put together an academy, now that we're putting together. But very soon in the month of February, we'll be having our first quarter section for that academy. You want to be part of the academy. Tuition is completely free. All you need to do is to pay for your application, your application fee, and then that gives you the ability to download the certificate at the end of the training. So we have certification programs already designed. We have the specialization programs, and then we have the tailored MBA. We're working with a Swiss institute by God's grace so that you can study the MBA anywhere in the world, and then you can graduate here in the UK or in Switzerland. You choose where you want to, and depending on your ability to travel to Switzerland during the graduation, you can just graduate from anywhere you're part of this training in the year 2025. So you want to be part of each of these training. At the end of the day, you're going to see details that you can reach out to and say, okay, you want to subscribe to our certification programs, our specialization programs, and MBA program. At the Diaspora Recruitment Network, our goal is to serve as a platform for recruitment and training. Whether you want to kickstart your own enterprise or you want to get to a point where you acquire the necessary skill that get and necessary skills and experience that gets you uh, being sought after by companies over the world, all over the world, either as a remotely or hybrid, or you just want to be on site, we provide that service. So whether you're a company or you're one person that is looking for a job, we are available to stand in the gap for both employees and employers. And so if you want to reach out to us, feel free to call us at the end of this broadcast. So let's return back to why we are here today and why we set up the London Business Clinic, which is designed to help people like you diagnose your business, find out why it's not giving you your anticipated result, and what you can do through creative and innovative solutions to solve the problem so that you can be more productive and attain your corporate goal for setting that enterprise. Like today, we just felt we need to go to and just have a summary of what a business is, the 5 stages you go through in a business. There might be several other stages, but we've at the Diaspora Recruitment Network, also with our partnership company, the Ambassador Advisory and Investment Limited. We have come over the years and with my team agreed that these 5 stages are relevant and extremely important for you to build a successful and sustainable enterprise. So we said, I'd like to repeat that again. So we go, the first stage is setup, the second stage is start off, the third stage is standardization, the fourth stage is scale up, and the fifth stage is spread out, and that gives you and that build you to a point where you can effectively build a successful and sustainable enterprise. So let's get started with the first stage start setup. Now this stage is important if you want to succeed as an enterprise. Where you come to this stage is extremely important, the setup stage. This stage focuses on the foundation of the enterprise through data collection. Remember, I talked about the triple D and data-driven decision making framework. You cannot jump into a startup phase without a setup. It's like when you want to build a house, you've got to set things in place, things in motions. You've got to look at for the foundation. You've got to find out where you're going to get the resources to run the business, who will be the architect, who's going to design the plan, and who is going to supervise the project. And this is the setup stage. The problem is that most enterprises don't go through this stage. They just saw an idea and they jump into the ocean of business, the business ecosystem, without going through the setup stage. The setup stage is extremely important. This is the stage where it focuses on the foundation of the enterprise through data collection, research, design, developing prototypes, and market validation. You want to test the ideas. You want to go out, ask questions about this idea. You want to research. You want to visit. For instance, you're thinking of setting up a salon. You want to visit successful salons, see how it's working. Visit um, salons that they don't have enough clients. You go out there. You look at the different spectrums, from successful ones to failed ones, and the ones that are just going by. Carry out research. Your whole idea is to have market validation about your business idea. Is it the right environment? Is it sustainable demand? Is the right demand? Is it a composite demand? You've got to ask questions. You've got to find and you've got to ensure that the business idea is viable and meet market needs. This is extremely important in the setup stage. This is very important. It is only when you have a successful setup stage where you have verified, you've carried out good market validation, you have ensured that the idea is viable and it meets market needs. That is when you can move to kickstarting that business. The ideas you should keep with the setup stage for a season because the marketing force may not be viable to the business idea at that point in time, might not be working in alignment with your business idea for that season. So you might just keep the idea in a diary. So because you might have a creative idea that may not be innovative. For me, I often tell people that innovation comes in two ways. It must be, and it must provide it must serve as an economic asset, and it must have what everyone tends to know about innovation, which is increment in value. But increment in value must lead to the first one, which is it must become an economic asset to you, not a liability. So you've got to ask yourself the question after going through the setup stage, where you've carried out you have the data, you've tested the data, you've carried out the data, go through the data process of cleaning the data, verification, and converting data into information. Then look at the design, how you're going to deploy value from the production to the consumer. Look at the laws, the factors that influences business, from politics, legal, environment, talking about the pestle, talking about the political, the economical, the social cultural, the technology, the environment, and the legal framework. You look at about the external forces, the forces that drives and influences business in your country or in the place you intend to set up. All these are extremely important in the setup stage. It is only when you have successfully carried out a setup stage and you know that the idea is valuable. You ensure that the idea is not just valuable, but it meets market needs, that you can begin to think of moving to the stage we all know as business startup. So you see that startup is not the first thing. It is the setup stage that is where people have missed it. And in the setup stage, you've got to talk about design thinking, system thinking, triple D, the data-driven decision framework. And setup is extremely important if you truly want to have a successful startup. Don't have a startup without a setup stage. Setup where and I'm going to repeat that this is a stage where you focus on the foundation of the enterprise. What are the values? What are the principles? What are the culture? What culture do you want to adopt as an enterprise? Now, so you focus on, and during this stage, you go through data collection, research, design, developing prototypes, and then test this prototype to achieve market validation. It is only when you have ensured that the business idea is viable, and meet market demands that you can talk about business startup. If you don't have a successful setup stage, pause for a while and take some time to evaluate the process again. Now, once you're sure that your setup stage is okay, the resources are available, your human resources, the minimal resources you can use to kickstart the business, the minimal relationship, because you're going to need key resources, key relationship, and these are extremely important that you can use to kickstart the business. We're not talking about having all the money in place. The minimal resources that can help you put together a valuable product, a minimal valuable product that you can introduce to the market. It is only then you go to the stage of market and business startup. Now, this is the now you have something you're excited about this business. You find that okay, there's market validation, and this business is viable and meets market need. People are in need of this service, or people are in need of this product, and that is taking you to that now enables you to convert this idea, this solution into a product, and so you have a business now. So you can say, okay, you're kickstarting a business. And then insight gained from the setup stage uh, are now implemented. You now talk about this involves the product launch and standardization, where process systems and structures are refined to validate the business model and ensure consistency in the market. So in this stage, you already have established business model you're deploying. And your business model comes with mostly 9 components. We talked about if you've ever studied the business model canvas. And this is the stage where you begin to deploy this business model canvas, where you talk about, okay, this is your target audience. You have your target audience. You have channels of communicate. You have communication pattern. You have channels. You have key activities, key resources, key partners. You have marketing segments. You have customer segments. You have um, customer relationship, you have channels, and then you have your value proposition, and then you have the first phase I mentioned, which is your key activities, key resources, and key partners. That will give you your sense of cost. So then the other phase that talks about your customer segment, customer relationships, and then you talk about channels that give you your a sense of revenue stream. Then you have the value proposition. What value? What are you? What value are you giving to the market? Is your value driven by quality or by price? Because oftentimes our value proposition is either driven by quality or price or driven by both. So what value proposition are you giving to the market? What is your value to the market? Because at the end of the day, people buy value. And what appeals at this stage you are investing, you're already out there as a business person. You've gained the experience gained from the setup stage, you are now implementing it in your startup stage, and that is extremely important. Now this is good. Now you're making money, you're learning, you're making this is before you go to the third stage, which is standardization. You begin to ask question, am I achieving my goals? And do I need to innovate? Do I need to change? In this process, you're talking about, do I need better products? Do I need to have product innovation? Or do I need to innovate my process? We talk about process innovation. Do I need to change my management strategy, management innovation? And then you begin to talk, do I need to have pricing innovation? So they're basic for innovation. There are several innovation you might look into, but I often tell people they're basic for you have um, product innovation, where you begin to look at the feature, the functions, and the benefits, your the values you're giving out to the market. Then you talk about process. Do you have lean process that limits? Because how do you make profits? Is either you increase revenue or you reducing costs. So you're going to look at your process, and how do you increase profit? Is either increase in revenue or reduction in cost. So you're going to look at the process innovation, and then you're going to look at marketing innovation. Do I need to market the right way? And is there new marketing strategy I can use to reach out to my target audience? And then we talk about pricing innovation. Today there are different pricing model. Your pricing is becoming an essential element in business these days, because the ecosystem of business is changing. The ability to convert to well, people are now beginning to see the clear division between marketing and sales, and one of the bridge there is your pricing. Your ability at what pricing strategy are you deploying is becoming very essential to convert, to be able to have a good conversion rate when it comes to from prospect to client. So we're going to look at all these things and find, and this is a startup stage. So you're testing the ideas you have achieved, you have the information, the data you've gotten from your setup stage, you're implementing them in your startup stage, and that is important. Now, this is where trouble tends to come. Most people kickstart a business, and the next thing is that they want to scale up. No, don't scale your business until you have attained standardization. And what is standardization? In this phase, the enterprise secure its position in an established market. You've come to a point where you've secured a position. You are known. You have your clients. You have your regular clients. You have attained. You have deployed three important strategies at this stage, and during your set startup stage, where you have client recruitment strategy, client retention strategy, and client expansion strategy. Now you have secured a position, you have an established client base. So I say in this phase, the enterprise secures position in an established market by building robust systems and structures and validating its business model for scalability. Anybody can come into the organization, and there's a standard operating procedure, because over time you have mastered your enterprise. You understand the market, and not you understand the industry. You understand the driving forces within the marketing framework, so you know the business. You have attained a level of standard, and your product have attained standardization. You, for instance, you see some restaurants, you eat the meal in London, you go to Africa, you see the same restaurant, you eat the meal is completely different. They have not attained standardization. The operation completely different. So in standardization, you You have you have an SOP, standard operating procedure, working. You have structures and systems in place that the CEO can leave for 2 years and the business will still be working. The owner of the business, the founders can be all gone and yet the business is still working. We've seen businesses in the US that are more than 1,000, that are more than 100 years old. I don't know if there's 1,000 years old in the US at this point in time, but you have companies that are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. You see that in Japan also. You've got to ask yourself, if you are the founder of that company today and you leave, will that company still be functioning? Can you afford to go on leave? If the entire management team of that company today is no more, will the company still exist? You've got to attain standardization before scaling up. It is important that you get your SOP, practice it over some time, repeat it, and see how it works. Now, once you have attained standardization as a company, we've seen banks that have attained standardization. You can afford. It is now time to scale. You can begin to scale up where you want to increase in productivity. Now, what is scale up, which is the fourth stage? Once the business model is validated, you've tested your model, you have a standard operating procedure in place, you can replicate it on a larger scale. That is what scale up is. You can replicate it on a larger scale um, to penetrate, and that talks about market penetration strategy to increase revenue and operational capacity. This can be done on a large scale. So you start small, you have an idea, you go through the setup stage. Once you've validated your idea, you move to the um, startup stage. Once you have validated the market, you move to standardization, where you have a standard operating procedure in place, and you've tested your business have been tested over time, and then that is when you begin to talk about scale up, where you can increase because you can repeat the process on a larger scale. You can begin to talk about scale up. But without standardization, if you scale, you're going to be in trouble because you're going to have reduction in quality and you may not have the effectiveness to manage the growth. And that is what happened to me in one of my enterprise in the past, where the one I said earlier, we grew so fast within 2 months and we felt we should scale up. But we didn't have enough staff that could manage the branches were opening. So everybody began to run things their own way because these were people we just had to put in position because we didn't take them through the process. They lack the values and principle and even the culture of the company. They didn't have it. So they were running things their own way, and that led to the collapse of the enterprise of that particular business. So you've got to understand standardization is important before thinking of scaling up. So you talk about scaling up is about doing it in a larger and increasing your operation where the business model is validated, it can replicate itself on a larger scale to increase market and penetration, revenue, and operational capacity. That is where we talk about scale up. Now, once you have attained scale up, you can now begin to talk about spreading out, which is expansion. Now, the final stage involves exploring new markets. You want to explore new market. That's what expansion include exploring new markets and forming partnerships and pursuing acquisition and engaging diversification to ensure long-term growth and resilience as a business. You see people trying to diversify when they have not attained standardization and they have not achieved scaling up. They're talking about diversification. You're going to be in trouble. So I want to encourage you to go through these 5 phases. Now, once you have attained spreading out and you've diversified, you have gone into partnership with other enterprises, you're doing JVC, you are acquiring other enterprises. Once you've come to that level, you can truly say you have attained sustainability, and you can continue doing this process when you want to set up something new. You go through setup, that talks about the research and the R&D in most companies. So you have your setup stage, your setup stage validates the idea, and then your startup stage validates the market, and your standardization validate operations and management, and then you talk about scaling up which validates the enterprise itself, and then you spray that. Once you do this, you are in for a long haul where you can truly say you are ready to build successful and sustainable enterprise. Do not jump any of this stage. We just felt we should share this to you today as members of the Diaspora Recruitment Network. Either you are just seeing us for the very first time today, or you have been part of our London Business Clinic in the past. We would like to hear from you. Before we close, I made some announcement earlier in the day where I talked about we putting together the certification programs, specialization programs, and working with a Swiss institute to set up an MBA for you. And these are all tuition free. The good news is that these are tuition free. You can acquire an MBA tuition free, 100% of scholarship. You can acquire specialization, 100% scholarship, and also talking about certification programs. Now, we want to encourage you to be part of this process. For you to reach out to us to know more about this, just subscribe to our YouTube channel or our Facebook page where information will be posted regarding our certification program, specialization program, and our tailored MBA known as Transition Entrepreneurship and Alternative Income MBA that will help you transition into entrepreneurship effectively. Now, the fees are highly affordable, £20 for certification, £30 for specialization, and £100 for an MBA. And tuition is 100% free. The tuition actually was £8,800, but an institute is sponsoring it. And so that is why, and if you applied early and you want to be part of the MBA specialization or certification program, we're going to interview you once you send in your application. For those of you that are interested, you can send in your interest to admin@getglobalworkexperience.com or and send us a data telling us you want to know more about the certification, specialization, and the transition entrepreneurship and alternative income MBA. And we're going to send you data so you can apply in the month. I think February 20th, we're going to have a certification program. January and February 24th, we're going to be kickstarting the first specialization program, and 4th of March, we'll be kickstarting the first tailored MBA program. So you want to take advantage of this in this first quarter to upskill so that you can upscale your business enterprise. My name is Boniface Oba Mozart. We look forward to hearing from you. Feel free to give us a call, send us a message or WhatsApp message on +44 758 I'll be glad we'll be glad to respond back to your message regarding our certification, specialization, and tailored MBA program. Till we meet again, we look forward to having you in our next edition of the London Business Clinic. Do have a great and stay blessed. Shalom. Bye for now.